All right. Okay. Call to order. Planning Commission agenda. Here we go. Who is up?
Thanks, me.
Brian, you are up, my friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Dunstan,
Here.
Commissioner Heedy,
Here.
Joe Padilla is absent, Vice Chair Mercado,
Here.
and Chair Wright.
Present. All right, Joe's not here, so we don't need to reorder the agenda. I don't think there's any presentations. See, I make fun of him when he's not here. You can let him know he's not missed. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, February the 18th. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. I assume the public comments are only for the community ID sign. Okay, perfect. No consent calendar, no public hearings, no new public hearings, no other business. Mark, you are up for the community ID signs.
Honorable Chair, members of the Commission, at your February 5th meeting, you requested a memo from the City Attorney regarding legal ramifications of using commercial sponsors on community ID signs. I've attached the current regulations along with all previous staff reports and minutes from the Commission and the City Council, along with the memo from the City Attorney. The conclusion from the City Attorney is the regulations for the community identification sign in the City Sign Code are not entirely consistent with the requirements of the Outdoor Advertising Act. In order to maintain consistency with this act, the community identification sign must either be located more than 660 feet from the edge of Highway 101 right-of-way, or the sign must not identify any businesses. Furthermore, the inclusion of businesses on the sign would likely result in First Amendment challenges as to people wanting to go on. We really can't do any regulation when they do want to go on the signs. So based on the available facts, that if somebody challenges us on that, it would likely be successful. So based on this conclusion, the best plan of action may be to amend the regulations to eliminate any commercial wording on the commercial ID signs. Then it would be truly for the community and city events, and not a billboard that would advertise commercial businesses. On February 5th, the Commission also decided against digital for this particular sign as well. There was an alternative discussed about adding it to freeway overpasses, and this is still an alternative and would function the same as a standalone community ID sign with no commercial advertising. And the issue here is whether a freeway overpass sign would be more aesthetically pleasing than a large community ID sign adjoining the freeway. So we're requesting Planning Commission receive public input and provide direction to the staff on amendments to the community ID sign regulations.
Right, okay.
Mr. Chair, I just have a question.
Oh, please go ahead.
So what would, if we had Buellton wine and chili on it, that would be advertising an event, and that would be, unless it was, if it was 100 feet, that would be against.
No, that would be a community event.
That's a community event.
That's not a business.
Can't be commercial.
Business would be if the
Okay, so
Chumash
that's-
was on it, Ellen's, Pea Soup, that would be a business.
Okay,
but
so events that are sponsored by the city
that is correct.
or associated with the city.
Yeah, associated with the city or the chamber for
Okay, that would be
those
legal.
types of things is fine.
Okay.
Now, that's what the intent was all along, and the commercial was added as maybe a mechanism for funding the sign at some point.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess my only question, Mark, is like what can you be a little more specific on what you're hoping to get out of us? Because
Direction.
I-
Now, and I'll tell you what the direction is.
Okay, thank you.
If you see on attachment 1 is the community ID sign regulations. Based on the direction or the analysis from the city attorney, it may be appropriate for staff to prepare a code amendment to this section that gets rid of the commercial advertising aspect as well as prohibiting digital. So it would be a code amendment to bring back to the Planning Commission and City Council.
unless they want to put it 660 feet away from the edge of 101.
And then we go into other sections of the code that don't permit those.
Is that in the lawyer's letter as well?
Well, he talks about if you do that, then you also open yourself up to potentially.
Yeah,
regulating.
then you're looking at an off-site sign, and that falls into our other regulations, and
Oh,
that's
about-
not, yeah, and that's not. for
But we
this-
can make it, okay.
And I doubt if it would be effective 660 feet.
Correct.
So I do have a question in regards to that. Say you have a community event, but there's a primary sponsor, which I mean, a lot of these events have a sponsor to them. Could it be construed that even though that sponsor might not be on the sign per se, that there could be a non-direct advertisement for that? I just throwing that out there.
I will check. If we have to do a code amendment, that'll be part of the research when I come back.
Okay.
Okay, so I get it, but I guess is that really providing you direction? This is kind of, if I tell you to remove let's just play this out. Let's say we agree and the commercial part should be removed. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying let's say it is, and we remove the digital part as well. Have we really provided any direction?
Yes, because I modify the sign code to eliminate those provisions, and we have then a true community ID sign.
Okay,
So that is
and then-
true direction.
And then what happens, once a potential community ID sign or type thereof is decided upon? Does that come back before us?
Yes,
for-
it does. It has to come through Planning
And
Commission
so
for
who
approval.
would, who the chamber essentially would be presenting
It has to
that?
be the chamber or the city doing this particular sign, yes.
Okay. Okay, I think I understand the scope of today's meeting now. I thought it was more broad when I first read this, but clearly you're looking for two specific questions. So your really goal is to A, determine the commercial, and B, about the digital. Anything else is extraneous.
Well, you can discuss anything you want on
On signs.
these signs. but
Roger that.
Those are the kind of the two things that were the sticking points, and
Okay.
that's,
I got it. Any other questions for Mark?
He's answered. Mine out there.
Dan?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, let's open it up to, so it's not a public hearing.
right, just
so-
open up for
So we'll
public
just have
comments.
comments. It doesn't have to be as formally, we don't have to close it, so it can be
Right.
almost like a de facto workshop.
Right, and I'm not going to use the timer. We have two speakers, so
Well,
you tell me. You tell me, Mr. Chair.
I know what's going on with these two, so, okay. Do you guys want to flip coins and who goes first, or?
I can go.
Okay, you're up.
And maybe I'll help with some direction, I don't know, but just giving some of the history. I'm sorry, good evening. Kathy Breland with the Buellton Chamber of Commerce. So just some history on why we initially started this conversation and why this was even brought to the Planning Commission in the first place is the Chamber saw a need or a place that we could possibly do a community ID sign for the city of Buellton. More in part of advertising our businesses in the local community, because not many of them have freeway frontage. Like Industrial Way, they would love probably to have some sign on the freeway advertising their business. So, I mean, that was basically the purpose of it. One, to identify that people are arriving into Buellton and welcome them here, and two, to advertise and give businesses freeway visibility that they otherwise don't have. It was going to be solely funded by the Chamber of Commerce. But in order to do that, we would have needed that advertising component, because we can't just afford a big community ID sign without that advertising component. So I don't know if that helps. I would maybe, if you're going to continue the conversation and looking into a community ID sign and talking about advertising events and whatnot, I understand you can't advertise. If you go the one route, you're not going to allow businesses to advertise, but maybe you look into allowing nonprofit organizations to advertise their events, whether it's in Buellton or even the community. I don't know, it might be beneficial, but I don't know what that looks like. Does the event then have to pay to have advertising on that sign, or I don't know what that looks like. So anyhow, that was kind of our purpose. I don't need to be lengthy. I'm happy to answer any questions, but that was kind of our initial idea, was to welcome people here and then to advertise and give businesses freeway visibility that otherwise don't have that, and kind of showcase our hidden gems. And again, it was going to be solely funded by the Chamber of Commerce, but we needed those advertising dollars in order to do so.
Yeah, so you see kind of the pickle we're in.
I'm sorry?
You see the pickle we're in.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Okay.
So I just wanted to share with you what our initial thoughts were on that, so.
So I think
whether or not that can
I think
help.
essentially any commercial aspect will probably be, if you're paying, you're essentially advertising. That's a de facto advertising. I'm not a lawyer, but I would,
But even for nonprofits, wouldn't that be true, Mark?
Unless it's associated with the city.
Well, we have it, the current wording that probably would stay is the sign shall be for nonprofit purposes and shall be sponsored by the city of Buellton or the Buellton Chamber of Commerce. Who pays for it and how they do that is the person who puts up the sign will make those decisions, but it would be an event such as the Wine and Chili Festival, that could go up.
Yeah, I think she's asking about, I think she's
seniors.
about events that may not be, I mean, you're talking about events that only happen in Buellton
Well,
or the
I'm
valley?
speaking from the fact that we've done a lot of research on the cost of these signs.
Oh,
And how are you gonna reap that cost back of building a sign? I can't take the chamber under for building a sign, so, or the city, I don't think would look good in doing that either. So if it's up to the two of us to build this thing, you would maybe wanna think about what kind of revenue, if you can. Again, I don't know if that's,
Yeah, we're-
Mark, that gets into that whole commercial
Yeah,
advertising thing.
you know,
I think,
it's
so
a
kind of
community,
pickle.
there's a community ID sign
Yeah.
and there's a billboard.
Right.
That's basically it. So if you're putting commercial, paying for commercial, you got a billboard. If we're
Right.
doing community events,
Yeah.
we have a community ID sign.
Yeah, I went to the planning commission meeting, I don't know, what was that, last year? I don't remember, last year. And they had like the advertising sign, like God, he's like a lawyer. And I asked this question because we were debating it then, and he's like, if anybody pays to put anything on that, it's advertising and you will get sued and lose. He's like, trust me, been down this road like a dozen times.
Yeah, so it's a real
Yeah.
fine line that we walk there, but I just wanted to share with you the history. I know, Dan, you're kind of new to the conversation, so just to share with what our idea was behind it originally and how we were able to fund that and make it make sense. So if you're just gonna put a community ID sign out there, they're not cheap, and if you're not, it's just a total expense. There's gonna be no income coming in.
So essentially,
And if you
if
wanna
that
light it
is-
up, there's electricity bills, I mean,
Right.
unless you just do it in the daytime or whatever.
so it essentially kills it on the chamber.
Well, yeah, basically, yeah. That's what I'm trying to say, yeah.
Sort of ends the discussion.
I mean, we would be able to afford it, to just.
Unless somebody were to sponsor the sign itself.
Well,
but
the
not-
events, it sounds like if you have a nonprofit event, the nonprofit event could pay to support the sign. It sounds like that would be viable. Because it would be a community event, it would be a not-for-profit event.
Yeah, nonprofit, that's
That may-
different than
that may-
commercial.
I'm not sure that gets you the sign up. You don't have that many events.
But if you're still selling advertising, is that what you're saying? for
Yeah,
a
but if-
Nonprofit event?
It's not really, well,
I mean, 'cause you can't do that.
Right.
I don't think you can go that route.
I don't know if it's a not-for-profit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder what the lawyer would say. Well, Mark, how about this? I mean, I think that's a valid question. I mean, I don't know, is that worth asking or not really? I mean, let's just go down that road for a moment. Let's say if all the events paid you a fee to put their stuff on a community ID sign and they're all not-for-profit organizations, right? I'm not saying that makes the sign viable, but maybe it scopes the kind of sign that may be viable. No? I don't know.
Well, again, I don't know if there's money being transferred. Is that considered advertising or?
Well, we can ask staff to engage the lawyer on
We
that
will
topic.
encourage, but again, if it's not a commercial business, getting their name out there is one thing. So this may be a different situation because we
Right,
want the
'cause they're not a
nonprofit.
business.
We want
Yeah.
the events put up on the board. That's part of what we.
And just for
would
instance,
wanna
I
do.
mean, YFL, we pay $350 to put our banner across 246 just like everybody else. And we're a nonprofit. We're a 501(c) just like anybody, but it still costs us $350. We get no break, no nothing. And it's just an expense and at the end of the year when we audit it.
Yeah.
And then-
Right. No, you want,
So-
you want
Well,
it
if you
to be
move
right,
forward,
so.
if you move forward, that's a question along with Brian's question.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it's good questions. I'm just sharing
No, I get it.
some other insight to think about maybe and moving forward.
Yeah, the whole thing's a mess.
Well,
So Kathy, what would that even achieve the goal that you guys set out to achieve initially?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
We really wanted to get the businesses exposure out there. I mean, as a chamber, we want to promote our business community and drive people off the freeway to come visit those businesses. So
Exactly.
right now, we do advertise Pea Soup a lot on the billboards that are out there, and that's great. It's iconic, and it is a big draw to our community, but, you know, we have to let them know what else is here too. So that was kind of our goal, is to really showcase all the other things that we have here to do and that they can pull off the freeway for. They just don't see it. You know, they're not located right on the freeway. They're hidden and tucked away, and we have some great assets, but that was the main goal behind it. So We can put, events on the other sign, south of McMurray there, and we do use that snipe. I mean, we can use that for advertising events. It's still a welcome to sign, so we have to continue that messaging on that sign. But we do allow a space that we can go ahead and promote events. So I cannot put a corporate name on there though. So you were asking about sponsorships, if it's Figtoberfest or something, or Flying Flags, I can't put their logo or name out there. And that's actually the same for the highway banner across 246 that we're trying to get moving and done, and it's been a long, lengthy process in trying to do that. But Caltrans has specific requirements for what it can or cannot say, and our neighbors get away with a lot, but
Really?
it would be much different for us over here. So, yeah, you can I could not put a company name up on that.
And you're referring to like the Solvay?
Yep.
The one that goes
yep,
above,
the
yeah,
banner across the highway.
between San Ynez.
I've learned a lot. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's very
Well, just
different.
looking
It
at
would
the
be a
notes
whole
in this
different
as well, I
scenario
mean,
for
it's
us.
been an ongoing process.
Yeah, signage is interesting, so, but it's important, I mean, it's a big thing, but maybe check into the nonprofit question, that's a possibility and how that looks. But again, if there's money being exchanged, I don't know what that would look like.
That's why we have a lawyer.
Thank you.
All right,
That's
thank you,
all I have.
Kathy.
Yep.
Appreciate your time.
Sorry to be a Debbie Downer. I don't know.
When lawyers are involved, it's never an upper. All right, Peggy, you're up.
Good evening, Chair Wright and Commissioners. Peggy Brierton, Buellton resident. Thank you for deciding against the digital sign at your last meeting in February. I think it's showing in staff report the commercial advertising component isn't going to fly, and that's going to have to be eliminated as well. I'm hoping you're going to go one step further and eliminate billboards of any fashion. It doesn't make sense to me to have the billboard,
They're already prohibited.
no, well, we're talking about this community identification sign that allows billboards, maybe not digital at this point, but a billboard's still the same. And Mark shaking your head like it's or not, maybe not.
No, billboard is governed by the Outdoor Advertising Act with commercial businesses on it.
Okay, I guess what I'm saying is a 1,200 square foot surface, is that still being considered as?
That's up to the commission. I
Sure.
mean,
Potentially, yeah.
So when we get to 1,200 square feet, that's billboard size. So you can say whatever you want on it, but, even if it just advertises Buellton Welcome and a Winterfest or whatever it might be, that's billboard size. And so I'm referring to that size. I think it should be eliminated. I don't think we should have a billboard placed, we have Anderson's right now along Honager Road. Who knows how long that's going to be there? That may, when Meritage comes forward, then that'll come down. For the time being, we have that. The only location for this, as I understand, is on the other side at the top of McMurray Road. Is that still the location for this identification sign?
that is correct.
Okay. And that one of up to 1,200 square feet is too big for that location. You're going to have when you're going south, you're going to be looking over to advertise whether it's community events or not. It makes no sense to me. It's cluttered. I don't believe that it's aesthetically pleasing. I would recommend trying to use the Caltrans plan that they've got. They've got a program that allows kind of identification across the overpasses. Westlake, I just recently had one a couple years back I put up that I noticed going down. They're quite aesthetically pleasing, way more than a billboard-sized identification sign. We don't need
Yeah, we talked. You talked about that last time. There's no, and I think I get the aesthetically pleasing part, but I don't think I was alone when I said I think everyone agreed with the assumption that we all want to have events, that if we all wanted to promote the other things going on in the city besides the static display.
I appreciate that, but there was something that Commissioner Marcato said, when you went to, you're going to some of these events that your family chooses to go to that are quite successful, what Chambers put on, it's through Facebook. You contact, people don't look at billboards to figure out their idea of where they're going for an event. It may be an extra plug, but people look at social media. They get their information, they get their ideas of what they're going to do in a different way now. Billboards had their time, and it's just not as relevant in this day and age. So I would request that you reconsider the use of the Caltrans program and check out what some of the other cities have done with their overpass. There's no lights involved, so there's no electricity. You have the initial outlay of a sign saying Buellton. I like the idea of 101 is, we're cut by 101 and 246. But 101, if we had something crossing over the overpass, it kind of really bridges the gap between the two sides of us. It kind of brings us together in a way. I would really like you to look at this program, see the type of things that have been implemented in other communities to identify themselves. So I'd appreciate that. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
So your other option too, for direction is if you don't, as Peggy mentioned, if you don't think the regulations are good at all for any type of sign, you can have it direct us to delete it in its entirety through the code amendment process. So you can do whatever you guys want to direct me to do, I will do.
But this sign has already gone through the city council and then been approved, correct?
The wording has,
So this has
yes.
been city council approved,
That's correct.
approved by the planning commission, and then ultimately approved by the city council.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And now, based on new information and new community input,
Yeah.
do we want to change this, and do we want to leave this type of regulation in place for a community identification sign without the commercial and the digital, or is this something that's you don't see as necessary? That's what you guys need to tell me, and then I'll come back with the appropriate code amendment.
I don't see anything in this document that limits anything. I get Peggy's point. She thinks we should remove the option out of the billboard. I'm not sure I agree with that. I definitely think we should include her options. I'm not opposed to that either. But I don't think this needs more clarity with that. It just has a maximum size. So it could be smaller than that, right? I guess I'm not even sure besides removing the two issues, I'm not sure there's a whole lot to discuss unless y'all, I guess let's just, so is anybody completely opposed to note 3, essentially, the size of the billboard with air quotes?
No, I think we talked about this the last time, and
Yeah, we did.
And I brought up the thing, at Westlake, Oaks Christian, their sign is 800 square feet. You can see from the freeway, it's right there. I mean, you can't miss it, and it's LED, and it's everything but the light show from Vegas. So, which is, it's good, because Oaks Christian is a nice school, and they do a lot of things, but they use it for promoting the high school, whatever is happening, whether it's a football game, so 800 square feet is, it's still a little bit smaller than the 1,200 square feet, but it's still a good-sized sign. That's the point. So I think, the 1,200 square feet, that's any smaller than, people will be stopping and causing accidents to say, well, oh, did I miss something? Or,
And I would be remiss to undo something the city council has already approved. I think if they're going to make, because this ultimately will go back to the city council, correct?
Yes, it will.
And so I think it's
Upon
probably
your
their
recommendation.
option to reduce it. I don't see it being ours, as, it's been approved by them, and now we're going, oh, well, let's try it again. I think you need to remove the commercial now. Whether it ever gets built is another thing. And I think that's going to have to be discussion between the city council and the Chamber of Commerce about funding and maintenance.
Are our amendments to this going to go back to the city council?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's all code amendments have to be approved by the city council.
okay.
Under your recommendation.
Okay. I don't know. Brian, you have any? I don't really need to talk about it. This is pretty cut and dry. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're all in agreement. So I think I appreciate everyone coming and providing comments, and we do appreciate everyone's input. We do. I do.
I think I got a consensus.
Yeah, I do think though, before you remove let me see, the sign for not-for-profit shall be sponsored by the,
I will check with the city attorney on,
okay.
A nonprofit.
I mean, I think the commercial stuff clearly and the digital stuff, that's fine.
and can
But
you
I-
restate yours, comment, Brian? Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was if there's indirect
Indirect,
sponsorship
yes, thank you.
for events, like Buellton events
Right.
that might be sponsored by
Okay.
McDonald's.
All right. Well, as I move the code amendment forward, I will have these answers in the staff report to you on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, well, so then how do you want to, okay.
No, we're good. That's all
Yeah,
I need
okay.
from you. You guys basically
think,
council commission consensus on this.
I think we all want, I think we'd all like to have it sponsored,
Yeah.
yeah, with the but. So if we can get away with the not-for-profit thing, then great. If we can't, then, okay. C'est la vie. Okay,
Gosh darn billboard.
okay, written communications, none, any comments from anybody? No, Mark?
All right. Well, we do have a notice of intent to file a lawsuit that went to the courts on Monday from Terravant on the bowling alley. So they're moving forward on the lawsuit.
That was the last day for filing?
Yes, and we also received one from the attorney for Mr. Stoker as well, but it was just one sheet of paper saying they intend to file, but we did not receive any confirmation that they filed the appropriate paperwork that the Terravant's attorneys filed. So, and we haven't got anything directly from the courts yet, but that we have the notice of intent, which is, and they copied us on those things. So I'll keep you apprised when we find out the details and we get court information back. And so anyway, that's moving
Any
forward.
more updates on, oh, go
I
ahead.
just had, who pays the city's cost?
The applicant.
The applicant, that was a, that was, yeah. We added a
Conditions in all
condition.
projects that are approved by the city have an
Gotcha.
indemnification clause that if we're sued, we will defend, but you will pay.
Good.
So, but the applicant is going to decide whether they want to move forward and do that. So they will be consulting their attorney on what they want to do. So
Well,
we have a mini golf proposal in for the area where the Palm Reader is, those parcels over there by Shell. That's going to be coming this month on the 17th for just a look-see to see and get the community and the commission's feedback before they actually submit an application.
is that also the flag property?
Interesting location.
The one between there and the Shell?
I don't know all the property, there are several properties involved.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Goofy Golf?
yes, Goofy Golf, yes. So,
Still playing miniature golf?
the apartments from Kerry Moriarty are supposed...
Wait, well, can we,
Oh, I'm sorry.
you know, let's go, hold on, we're going to eke this for a moment.
Okay.
Any number of holes on the mini golf?
Well,
Just like
18? Come on.
oh, it's going to be an 18. Oh, have you seen a plan for this? Oh. Well,
it have
how'd
a
it
clown?
look, Kathy?
Well, we've seen the plan too. We haven't. That's why it's coming forward.
Is there
to
a
us.
Star Wars themed hole? My son will.
No, it's a military theme off the Commander Rife's stuff. There we go.
Is it all virtual, where you're like kind of walking
Yeah.
down Torrey Pines? And
Anyway, just want to let you know.
So they just play taps the whole time.
Just as long as they don't try to put it next to Terravante.
Okay.
And we have Kerry Moriarty's supposedly coming in with his apartment complex this week. I may guess it'll probably be early next week. The District 805 one between Hampton and Firestone, we told you about a while ago, the wine tasting things, they lost investors, now they have investors, so they're reactivating that, so that may be coming forward for a look-see as well. And hopefully Tractor Supply is going to be opening in the next month, I would hope. They're getting close, they're doing their interior work. Hampton, you can see there's a lot of vertical going up on the Hampton
Yeah.
right now. Tilton should start vertical anytime. And vertical should be happening with 3 of the buildings at the townhome project as well.
What? Any more news on the village area? On the pads that were unsold or unrented, I should say.
No, well, what we have right now is Starbucks, AT&T,
Supercuts.
Tractor Supply, Supercuts, Chipotle and Habit are still coming on the Outlier pad and Panda Express.
Okay, so no, same.
Yeah, nothing new on that.
Okay.
Anything else?
State of the state?
I thought there was some other golf course.
So we had a little lull, and now a bunch of projects are being thrown at us.
Alrighty.
And more of them keep calling.
More of them keep calling, yes.
Okay.
Business is booming for the
It
planning.
is,
Approved budgets.
yes.
Okay.
Early in the season.
That's it.
Very good.
6:31.
You good, Art? You good? Okay.
All right. For the Maverick concert, but I
Who's
have really
playing
good,
at the Maverick?
the